Out of the City is an arts camp that brings together youth from different backgrounds to a rural location. The camp is centered around stone sculpture, and every other workshop is designed to foster cross-cultural exchange and to build relationships through interdisciplinary exercises. I am very interested in the tension between the stone's own sense of time and the story that I'm trying to tell with the stone. When I introduce it to the participants, I'm also trying to make them aware also about the material. When you look at the material and the human lifespan, it's like the material is probably about maybe 2 billion years old, whereas a human lifespan is just like the stone already has got its own story. It's already telling a story about geology. It's had a life, so the important part is just to make them aware of that the stone already has its own sense of time, and then trying to negotiate between their own story or their own image that they are trying to enforce onto the stone. And sometimes, the stone doesn't always agree to the story that you are trying to tell with it. So it's a constant negotiation with the stone. Sculpting can be pretty tedious, especially and demanding physically. So I always try to encourage and help out in terms of the technique on what tool to use at what stage. Each and every tool has to be used at a specific age, because you're starting with a point chisel, and then you're using a chasing hammer, and then you're using a rasp from the roughest to the finest. And then you're using a fine chisel to put all the details and the fine lines. And then from there, you're going into the sanding from the roughest sandpaper to the finest.
A couple of days ago, we started with this big rock. Now it's shaped into an owl. We've got the shape ready. So now all I need to do is just flatten the back. The rock starts off so big, and then you have to see the actual sculpture you're gonna make. It's just so difficult shaping it. But after that, everything else was straightforward. Using the chasing hammer was a good idea because it gave a feather-like texture on the actual stone. So it's unique to the other owls that I've seen before.
Creating a design out of a big chunk of rock, that's the hardest part. There was supposed to be like a mouth opening up, and I was working on it too hard that it just fell off. So I have to do it with a pointy snout now. I'm gonna put this on top of my dresser at home, and I'm always gonna remember how hard I worked on this.
You have to find it. It's in there. It's in there. So if you start with one side, you'll see it. So if you start from this side, you take all that out, yeah. And then once you're done there, once you're done with one side, then everything else falls into place.
I had in my mind an idea about a triangle, and then it turned into a pyramid. And I had to ask Chaka for help a lot in the early stage because I just did not know where I was going to go.
Just picture it at an angle like that, even if you wanted it just two-dimensional. Yes, that's right.
We used a chisel. I used a chisel in this space here first, but like I always end up messing up somewhere, and changing one of these lines is, it's just sad.
It's meant to be the shadow of an elephant, and so like the ears hide the eyes. I think the hardest part was filing, because there were lots of dents in it, and obviously when you file you want to make it all the same, and I had a problem with it not all being the same, so I just kept filing, and it wasn't all the same until I went, you know what, I'm done. And I just stopped. The most fun I had working on this sculpture was definitely the waxing and then the fire at the end, because that was just like, I'm done, no more work. Wow, you see, you have a cloth, you get some wax, and then you put it on your sculpture. You have to put it in all the crevices so you don't miss any. And then you get a blowtorch and a lighter, and then you sort of just torch it until it has this shiny effect.
I knew that's why I wanted to come to the camp, because the other stuff like dancing and music, I was like, I don't do very well. It's like, I'm probably going to like sculpting the most. I really like fell in love with it. Like I really like the rock carving. I want to do it like forever, like all day, every day I could do it, because I just like it so much. So I think part of it was like complete focus. It was something that I was semi-good at. You can do just like minute details, and then just like spend the whole time like just doing that, and it was just like I didn't have to think. I just would purely just focus on what I wanted to do.
I think the first day I was thinking like, oh God, it's not gonna look anything like I imagine, or it's a lot of hard work. I mean, you have to just keep using the hammer until you hope that it takes a shape. And then once it started taking a shape, I started getting, you know, a little bit excited, and I started liking my work. Anything in life, when you first started, it's hard, and more you do it, it becomes much easier. So I'm kind of glad that the beginning was the hardest and the end was easy.
Well, my sculpture consists of two pieces, which are letters. One piece contains 3 letters, the other one contains 1, and the reason is that the one that has 3 letters are all attached to each other. And it spells the word Allah in Arabic.
So just keep going around with it. Because if you work in too many areas, it becomes messy and it's confusing.
With starting, you know, getting the letters to actually be able to see the letters on the rock, I just started engraving it. What I also found out was that another tool, which kind of has the shape of an axe, you can use the side of it as a hammer. Once I learned that, it was just like, yes, now I can do this.
I really wanted to do an owl, but I thought that was a little too hard. So yeah, it was a change. The hardest part, probably sanding it, because it took a while and it almost didn't work out for me.
My favorite activity was the dancing and the marimbas. I had, marimbas and dancing, because well, the dancing brought everyone together and it made everyone come out of their shell a bit more.
I remember last year Chaka having the intention of having all of the music and dance be focused as a Zimbabwean style. So that's a huge difference, and I like that. I think that his vision was successful in that way.
I love African dance because
It's a dance form that's made for everybody. It reflects every part of life, right? In the good Zimbabwean proverb, the most famous Zimbabwean proverb, if you can walk, you can dance. If you can talk, you can sing. We're going to try and prove that in our 5 days together. Because we're going to be singing and dancing and drumming and playing marimba and cutting stone.
Yeah, my name is Ronnie Dalio. I'm from Zimbabwe, Southern Africa. Mostly I grew up in a family of music. Our families, everybody's musician. For me, we grew up on cultural music, drumming, dancing, singing. It brings people together.
But the marimbas was fun to play, to actually learn how to play an instrument, because I've never actually played an instrument before.
When we're all playing, then one person messes up, we all mess up because we hear the wrong note. So it's kind of like domino effect.
Yeah, I met Voti in Bulawayo in Zimbabwe, where I was doing my artist in residence at the National Gallery in Zimbabwe. And Voti is the regional director for the National Gallery in Bulawayo. Voti is a veteran Zimbabwean artist, and he comes with decades of experience. In 2013, he was a Venice luminary representing the Zimbabwean pavilion.
I found art to be a way of expressing my feelings. And I hope being here as well, I have imparted those feelings to these young and upcoming. They can be artists, they can be art patrons later in life. But them being here, at least they appreciate what art is all about.
Voti sort of brought a very calming and reassuring energy to the workshop, because most of the kids knew that when it was time to be with Voti, it was mostly like a just nice, calm energy in the workshop.
Just know it says NYASHA.
Out of the cities, now in its 6th year. I've been asked by the participants, facilitators, parents and the youth workers about how the camp is going to grow in the near future. The success from the past years has shown that growth is inevitable. The exciting part is figuring out how the camp is going to grow. However we decide how to grow the camp, I know that it's going to be great for the participants, facilitators, and everyone involved.